Hello and welcome to the Team VVV podcast for all your weekly racing game rambles. I'm Martin and joining me as ever is Kevin.
Hi guys.
And Alan.
Hello viewers.
Hello. So, as always, do like and subscribe. It helps support what we do. And we've also got another giveaway, believe it or not, this week. We're giving away a Thrustmaster TMX wheel again. You can enter that on Twitter and all the details can be found on the website. So, kicking off with the podcast. Last week we obviously talked about GTSport, the delay and everything. That's now since developed, interestingly, because Sony, it turns out, are actually cancelling people's pre-orders, which was a bit of a surprise. It doesn't really bode well for the final release, does it?
Well, no. I mean, it makes you wonder and worry how far that release is. I mean, that tells you that the delay is over 6 months.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
At least. So we could be looking at Christmas 2017 or even 2018 now, because this happened once before, a couple of times before, and we said it will come out. You know, I think Gran Turismo 5. You know, the delays, and yeah, I think it could be a long way off now. So it's not reached expectations. Weird, because we don't really know why it's been delayed so heavily or what they're planning, but it's certainly interesting news to hear. And you know, Kevin, I don't know if you noticed that even on N4G, there were some comments that mentioned that this has happened before on games. It's not something that we're aware of.
I've never heard of that, I must admit.
No,
I've for a major release like GTSport.
No, I imagine it's quite rare, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was an interesting thing to hear about. And like you say, a little bit concerning, because that indicates a significant delay.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it comes out before the end of next year now. I think Gran Turismo is traditionally released sort of November, December time anyway, isn't it? The last couple.
That's right, yeah. I mean,
GT5 and 6.
Although, you know, having said all this, it has been revealed that GTSport will actually make an appearance at the Tokyo Game Show later this month. Yeah. So, you know, who knows? I mean, the fact that they've cancelled pre-orders does suggest a lengthy delay, but the fact that they're showing it off at Tokyo is...
Saying that as well, we've got EGX as well later this month, and as far as I know, it is still on their listing as well. It'll probably just be the same demo that we saw before, I imagine.
It'll be the Gamescom demo. It will be the Gamescom demo.
Yeah.
Showing there, and I think that they might have some extra bits at Tokyo Game Show. That might be a newer build. You never know, it might just be the Gamescom build again. Having said that, when they were showing the build at the preview event earlier this year, they were able to refresh and update it quite quickly, almost on a daily basis. So it's quite possible they'll have some slight refinements to the Tokyo Game Show build. But we'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, just check the site, it's still there. It's still on their listing for games at the show floor. Though interestingly, Forza Horizon 3 isn't yet.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
They'll probably announce it closer to the day, but it's only about 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, I mean, it probably will be shown. I mean, it's imminently due for release then, isn't it, as well? So I guess the focus is on release, but it is surprising. You would still expect it to be shown as one of the Microsoft sort of Christmas titles. Just a quick one on Gran Turismo. It's funny, but I think the more successful titles have always been released in the spring at Easter. And they used to release Gran Turismo at that time of year, so then they've shifted it to the Christmas.
I think from about GT5 onwards, it was sort of released towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so not that I think that makes a great deal of impact on it, but I've always felt that Gran Turismo is such a big brand that it doesn't matter what time of year you release it, it will sell well anyway. And I think if there's a gap in the market, like a Grand Theft Auto, if you like, when you big brands, release it when there's nothing else coming out, and you have the market to yourself for months.
It's true, but then, like I said last week, I think Sony in particular will be most affected by it because obviously there's not really a strong Christmas lineup anymore, apart from PSVR, in terms of big first-party releases anyway from Sony.
Yeah, not as many, but again, we've got the conference tonight. I'm sure they'll announce a few surprises, and you know, what with the PlayStation VR, their focus probably will be on the VR this Christmas. I think the big problem is going to be stock. I mean, right now you can't get a VR headset to save your life, and even if you can get a VR headset, you can't get the cameras and the move controls. So that's something Sony seriously need to work out in terms of logistics of getting it out there. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess moving on then. Got about 3 weeks now until Forza Horizon 3, believe it or not. Time is really creeping up on us on that. It turns out we could actually be playing it next week, though, as rumour has it there's going to be a playable demo. Cannot wait to play that. I mean, I think I'm right in saying every other Forza Horizon has had a playable demo, so it would make sense.
Yeah, and it's as soon as, was it September the 12th, so what day does that fall on? That's next Monday, isn't it? So it's very, very soon. I imagine it'd be the same demo as we've seen previously in
yeah, I imagine
game
so.
shows.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny that because that's the day the preview embargo is up as well. So previews come out that day. So
it does tie in nicely.
Tie in, yeah.
I mean, the demo is all about showcasing the many aspects of the game's environment. So it's a perfect showcase for the game. So yeah, I imagine it'd definitely be the very same demo.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
I expect so. I guess we also had the interest in the recommended PC specs as well, and by God, you need a good PC to play this by the looks of it.
Yeah, I suppose because they're aiming towards 4K all the time. They keep talking about 4K gaming, and you know, I mean, for me personally, I'm all about resolution and detail. Not resolution, so I'm about frame rate and detail.
Because frame rate
directly impacts on a game. You know, that's the thing about frame rate. It directly impacts on precision.
Yeah.
Resolution does not in the same way. When you get to 1080p, you've got a good enough resolution. On a small screen, it doesn't really make a massive difference. You know, resolutions matter. On the bigger the screen, more resolution matters. But the smaller the screen, the more you just can't really see a lot of the differences. As long as it runs well, you know, and technically it's well made. I would rather just see more solid experiences. So I think seeing Forza Horizon 3 running at 1080p, solid 60 frames per second, is going to look impressive enough in itself.
Oh yeah, it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing, I think, visually, seeing all of that in 4K. They're making quite a big push for Forza on PC, I noticed, because we also had Forza 6 Apex, which has now just come out of beta. Again, they made quite a big thing of that running at 4K, so this kind of collaboration between PC and Xbox One with the Forza franchise now, it's really changed since the days of console exclusivity.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And cross-platform play, you know, is a key selling point now. And don't forget that Forza Horizon has, co-op, 4-player co-op through the career mode. So I mean, that's huge. And I think if you can do it cross-platform, that'll be even bigger. So, yeah, I like you say, I look forward to seeing how it develops and how it really gets on. But I can't say too much about it at the moment.
No, I'm not allowed to talk about it until next week, unfortunately, in detail.
Next week we can talk about it in more detail. But what everyone's seen of it and what we've seen in the trailers, is very impressive. And the 4K is, I've seen it in 4Ks, and it was on a massive 65-inch screen, and it was I remember looking at it, not knowing it was 4K, thinking, well, that's pretty damn sharp. And then finding out afterwards, oh, that's the 4K all singing version. And it was, extraordinary detail. So
that must be a feast for the eyes.
Absolutely. Well, it's the future, isn't it? But I think that proper 4K gaming, whatever these new consoles deliver, is still. They might call it 4K as a selling term, but it's not really. I mean, 4K gaming, 60 frames per second, 4K. That's what I call 4K gaming. Solid everything is still 10 years away. It's literally that far away still at the moment. On the PC, it's not. If you've got lots of money on the PC, no, you'll be able to buy even a powerful graphics card. But for the game consoles, it's still a long way off at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I guess whilst we're on the subject of Forza, actually, it's come out now that Forza 6 Apex is now out of beta, and it also now supports steering wheels. How about that? A PC racing simulation.
For turn 10. It's just I mean, it really is just mind-boggling that it's needed to get to this stage to have wheel support. I just don't know where the mindset is on that, especially when you're angling to the PC market.
Yeah, exactly. It was
the most bizarre
really weird omission when it first came out at the time. I remember we sort of complained about it a bit when it first came out. But it's a bit of an oversight considering the PC crowds just expect wheel support from the get-go, really. Especially for a racing simulation.
You would think so. You'd think that would be top of the list, wouldn't it? Wheel support.
Yeah.
What do PC users want? They want frame rate. They want resolution. They want wheels.
Just play it on Xbox.
So it's a strange omission.
It's worth noting though that there's no Fanatic support yet for Forza 6 Apex. So again, they're still having problems.
I wish I knew what was going on with Fanatec. I mean, a few years ago, Fanatec were ahead of Thrustmaster. I mean, they were the first company to come out with wheels that worked across every format.
Yeah.
And something went wrong, didn't it? And then suddenly Thrustmaster got in there as the apple in the eye, and ever since then Thrustmaster have gone from strength to strength, and they dominate a lot of the wheel entry market and mid-wheel market now, whereas Fanatec have a high-end market, particularly on the PC. But it does make you wonder, where Fanatec are and what they're going to do. They've got their new wheel launching soon, haven't they? A new Elite Club Sport coming, and that looks good. But it still looks like it's going to be a pricey entry level. Now let's hope they can agree. We don't fully understand what the agreements are with the publishers, with the rights holders for the wheels to work on the consoles, and unfortunately that's something that we'll never truly know. But it's more in the detail of the writing there as to why wheels do and don't work. It's a pain, let's put it that way.
It's funny though, because Fanatec is meant to be the official Forza branded wheel for Xbox. Obviously, they did the CSR Elite, which had the Forza logo on it, and I think one of the latest rims has it as well. So for it to not work with Forza 6 Apex it's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
It's supposedly capacity is coming sort of towards the end of the month though, but so it's it's a bit of a shot on the foot for them.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, as I say, we just don't know the politics, but at least they're making progress, and I'm sure they will make progress over the course of the next sort of year. But Fanatec have sort of gone away a bit, and hopefully this is them coming back into the market. It's good to have competition. It's good for Thrustmaster and Fanatec to be competing.
At the moment, Thrustmaster kind of has the hold on the market really in terms of console wheels.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got Logitech as well, I suppose.
Yeah. Sort of. I mean, Logitech has sort of lost their way. The G29 for me was shoddy. It was awful. So, I mean, they'd lost what made the original great. And, I
was a big fan of the G25.
G25, yeah. G25, G27, great wheels. I love my G25. I think in many respects, I think I said on videos in the past, it's been my favourite ever wheel in many respects.
I still remember my Gran Turismo 4 branded Driving Force Pro back in the day.
Yeah, and it worked great. I mean, these wheels on consoles work fantastic. So it's a shame that, as I say, we want more people to have wheels, but the fact that they need to keep upgrading their wheels for every console format is ridiculous. And it's certainly something that needs to be looked at by the games publishers and recognised in terms of peripherals on the market, because they're very expensive, big investment.
It's a pain having to shell out £300-400 for a wheel, and then in a few years' time it just is obsolete.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there we go. So I guess moving on. Obviously, we're still playing a lot of Assetto Corsa at the moment. We're sort of working our way through the career. It's come under a lot of fire lately, obviously, because of the performance issues on console. There's lots of screen tearing and frame rate issues. Interestingly, Kunos have actually now responded to this. They said they are working on it. They're aware of the issues, so we should be expecting some patches in the near future. No release dates as of yet, but it's interesting how there's so much hype for this game, and all of a sudden people seem to be just instantly writing it off because it's not as polished as the original PC version, which is a shame, really, because it's a big achievement, I think.
Yeah, it didn't take long, did it, for the balloon to deflate? I mean, it does have some pretty glaring sort of errors. It's one thing being aware of it, Kunos, but you've got to make sure you've got this sorted before launch. Such a shame to see these, because I mean, we're going to wait for the patches. We're enjoying the driving experience, but we're very much in the minority. Most people will come along, they'll see the most people go along, visually on the game. They'll see the graphics. If it's not quite up to par, they'll move on. That's the reality. And people will see this. They'll know about the various errors, and they'll just move on. And it's a real shame. The screen tearing is pretty bad in places, and the frame stuttering and stuff. I mean, for a racing sim, you just cannot have any frame rate drops and things like that, because how can you really call it a true simulation if you're getting things that you wouldn't get in real life? You don't get life going past you in stuttering motion. So.
Well, I'm just going to interrupt you. There's a bit of news hot off the press. Stefano Casilio, one of the developers on it, has tweeted today good progress on the tearing performance on both consoles. Good stuff, and now off to Italy for 4 days holiday. Ciao. And Marco Mazzaruto has mentioned on his Facebook today that tearing defeated, smoothness achieved.
Oh wow!
On Xbox One, new update incoming on September. So
well, that's brilliant news, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's big. You know, that's it. Tearing gone. That's it.
Oh,
that's a bold statement, isn't it?
It is.
So,
it is.
It's a very bold statement.
It is. That's what people are already noticing. They're coming to some flack if it's not gone.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll have to just wait and see.
Very much looking forward to next update then, because
wow,
I mean that will add so much to the simulation, you know, and I don't know whether they're going to be addressing the problems found in the career mode with the certain races. The AI seem to be notoriously difficult. They seem really tough, and the difficulty sort of fluctuates between events as well. So it's it'd be interesting to see if they can incorporate a fix for that within the first patch. But I'm not exactly expecting it, because I guess
it does seem like big words, doesn't it? You know, in terms of, I mean, it would be good if you saw the word pro. It might be lost in translation. I always think you have to realise this. You know, these guys are Italian. Everything that gets translated gets translated directly, and they might mean progress has been made, but tearing defeated, smoothness achieved. That's the statement. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than that, does it? So yeah, I mean, let's hope that this patch does what they say it can do. The world is watching, I think, is the answer to that one.
Yeah, just hope it's not too little too late, really, because obviously a lot of people have already written off and probably moved on to something else.
You know what? I think the thing about Assetto Corsa is it certainly lost a lot of interest since it was released. I think the automatic gears option, which I bet they still haven't fixed, is, for me, one of the biggest errors in the game by far, because for everything else that's wrong with it, there's, you know, those automatic gears are vital to just playing the game. That's a Class A type situation that they should be working. So they'll have lost a lot of the sort of middle core gamers that would have gone on there from Forza Motorsport. It's going
to rely on their fan base, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, crash off. I think if this patch fixes some technical issues, okay. If there's another patch that adds more to the game in terms of, you know, teleporting to the pits and stuff like that, they have a relaunch in terms of the Porsche pack. I think when the Porsche pack comes, there's going to be a lot of people later this year in November. There's no GTSport to rival against.
No.
It's highly likely you're going to see some new circuits. They've got the red pack, the Japanese pack. They've got new tracks. They've got some big stuff coming on it. And I think that they'll have an opportunity to relaunch in November time with those new packs.
Yeah, and they've got a good chance to redeem themselves, I agree,
And I think they should offer some free stuff as well to people as well, for all of their first-time buyers that, you know, have bought the game and, you know, had to wait for it to be improved. I think it's nice for them to give something back. I still don't agree with the fact that DLC was shown in the launch trailer.
No, that did. Yeah,
I don't agree with that approach. And I deep down, I kind of feel that those two packs really would have been better off included in the game. But either way, you know, I think as long as there's some good packs and some good support, and I can see that in a year from now, Assetto Corsa could be a different game. It could be like Drive Club. We could be looking at a game that will transform over the course of the next year. And I think stick with it, I say to people. You know, we'll stick with it at VVV because, quite frankly, it does have a hell of a physics model running within it. It is grinding the hardware down, and you know, let's see what the Neo and Scorpio versions are going to be like. I think it's inevitable there will be some conversion to those formats. On there, it should run really well. So, yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about the DLCs as well, I think in fairness, it was priced a lot lower than sort of most new games. It was only about $29.99 at retail.
Yeah. It was. Well, no, I think that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, you've raised a good point there. It wasn't the most expensive game in the world. I mean, they've done well keeping the price down. And like you say, I mean, we like Assetto Corsa. We want it to do well. I think it's just important that, you know, there's a nice realistic communications where it is and where it's going. And I think that I hope they bring Circuit de la Sarthe to the game, because I think having Le Mans on Assetto would be amazing next year. Especially with the Porsche. Let's face it, needs a bit of a to really enjoy those Porsches, and yeah, we'll wait and see what other new circuits they bring to it. So I think there's a lot. Clearly, if you look at how Assetto Corsa has improved over the last 4 years, it's been massive on the PC. I think if they can keep the problem is console. You've got a few shots at the console. They've got a bit of time. They've been given a lifeline because Gran Turismo Sport's not coming now.
I bet they breathed a sigh of relief when that came out.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's an absolute lifeline that they've not got that now, and we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one developer I have faith in, it probably is them. I mean, like you said, the support for the PC has been very good. They are communicating what they're doing, what they intend, the progress that's being made on fixing it. Got content lined up to continue supporting it throughout the year. So I have a lot of faith in them personally. I must admit, the more we talk about it, the more it reminds me of Project Cars. All the issues that came out had in the console release last year.
Yeah, I mean, Project Cars was a whole different level in terms of complexity and expectation. I mean, the big thing with Project Cars was it had all the weather transitions, the day and night transitions, and in fact, it was the weather that caused a lot of problems for them. At least Assetto doesn't have weather in that sense to deal with. And they're a much smaller team as well than a much smaller team than Project Cars in terms of they don't have nearly the same budget. So, but you're absolutely right. It kind of feels like that. These driving games are increasing in complexity, and it's taking a lot more investment to.
It's taking a whole year basically to get the final product, as it were, as to how it should have been when it came out the door. Who was that?
Sorry about that phone ringing. Was it a wrong number? Go away.
I'm working with amateurs here. You got to put your phone on silent. Come on.
Epic fail.
It's the landline in the office. What can you do?
Oh, landline.
Okay, we'll let you off the hook.
Absolutely. Boom, boom. Yeah. Where were we anyway? I completely lost what we were talking about.
That's going to go in the edit.
That's going to go. Of course, it's going to go in the edit. This is live and unscripted chat about gaming. This is news as it happens, and we've got the details. But no. Assetto Corsa. Let's see it develop. Like you say, let's see in a year from now where it is. Drive Club went from pretty rubbish when it was first shown to wow, this is ace, and the biking was amazing. And it's a shame now that it's not around anymore.
Yeah, I guess the difference with Drive Club, there it has Sony behind them to obviously continue to promote it, whereas Assetto Corsa doesn't have quite the same level of support.
It doesn't, but I think because it's got such a small development team, they can break even very easily. And I think that whatever happens, if they can get their money back, double it, and grow that team, then I think Assetto Corsa 2 in 4 or 5 years' time is a possibility.
I'm just thinking more along the lines of where it might be in a year's time, say, like with Drive Club. It could, it's completely transformed it, completely different game a year after release. Same with Project Cars.
Could be. It could take about a year, 18 months even. I see Assetto Corsa as a long-term plan. I mean, it might be that Assetto Corsa is the only racing game they release this generation. And they wait for PS5 before they go for another generation.
I can imagine they're doing that. They could even add Day and Night and Weather perhaps later on.
No, they can't. No, apparently the graphics engine doesn't allow weather. So, well, it doesn't actually. Let's be fair. It has different hues and times of day, but I'm not certain it has real-time changes, and it can't do rain. So there's those elements to it. But who knows for the future? I mean, we've seen companies change their engines to do things they weren't supposed to do. So anything. Well, I say all that, but anything is possible, isn't it? I think it depends on how successful the game is, really.
Well, I mean, I guess the other sort of big game coming out in the next, where are we now? About a month or so now, I think, is WRC 6. Obviously, we have some big news on that, actually. It's going to have split screen. Hooray!
Hooray! Yeah, that's a really good addition. That's a really good. I mean, so many games can't have split screen now because gamers want such high levels of graphical fidelity that they're not prepared to accept the sacrifice in a rearview mirror or in a split screen. So at least they've used the resource they have. WRC 6 isn't going to blow the bloody doors off in terms of graphics, but at least they're using it and trying to do something else in terms of that. Let's hope the frame rate's good.
It does say a lot that split screen is now a selling feature for a game. It just shows how the industry's changed over the years.
Yeah, so few games have it. So few games have it because of the complaints from gamers. I mean, gamers moan that, oh, look, the graphics are rubbish in split screen, or the frame rate's lower in split screen. And so they stopped putting it in there because they thought, well, why do that? Why do a split screen option that people are just going to not be very happy about? So, but there is a big market for local multiplayer. I mean, it's nice to play with your friends. I think rallying is a, like, say, a game like Grid would be similar in sense that it'd be great to have two-way or four-way multiplayer, and I think when consoles get more powerful, we're actually going to see that come back again.
Yeah.
But we're just in that sort of middle range at the moment. But yeah, WRC6, we had a video go up this week. Sebastian Chardonnay was a WRC3 champion. He was a driver, absolutely amazing at the game, amazing. He's worked a lot on the handling. We do have a video with him talking about the game in some depth that's going to be coming. New handling, a bit about his career. Interesting video. WRC6, certainly it's better than last year's game. Visually it looks a lot better. Handling, it's had lots of little handling sort of refinements. It shouldn't be categorized with Dirt Rally, and unfortunately a lot of people compare it to Dirt Rally, and they compare it to Sebastian Loeb Rally, but it's not really like that. It's sort of middle of the road in terms of the physics to it. They don't want it to be too hardcore. Visually it's better. It still doesn't blow you away, but it's better than last year.
Yeah, I mean, a licensed game such as WRC6 needs to sell, doesn't it? So they need it to be accessible. But like you said in the video, it does simulate many aspects of motorsport, so you can't really call it an out-and-out arcade racer. That wouldn't be perhaps fair to the development team. But it's shaped up nicely. Graphics, physics, a lot of areas, sound, they've all been improved, and it seems like they've really listened to feedback over the last sort of 12 months or so, and they're giving people more the title that they perhaps would like. And WRC5 was certainly a good start for Killerton. If you look back at Milestone's first iteration, it was pretty poor, I would say. But it's exciting to see how this WRC franchise develops from here on, and if Killerton actually keep hold of the license for the next few years. It's looking good.
Yeah, it's nice to see it make a comeback, really. I mean, the way I described WRC5 compared to the competition really was, it's like an approachable alternative. I think it's not hardcore sim, but it's not an out-and-out arcade game either. It's almost in the middle, I think, of the.
It was challenging and it was fun.
Yeah.
So it was a good title, I thought.
Yeah, it wasn't too challenging, but it wasn't too easy either. If you get what I mean.
No, it was more suited to the controller though. If you do get on the wheel, it was it's really challenging. You take assists off, and it's not easy. You really do have a bit of a battle on your hands. So it's certainly had enough challenge for those that were looking for it.
Yeah. Again, WRC was designed more for the sort of mass market, so I guess it's not surprising that it plays better on a controller in that regard.
Yeah, exactly, and it's beautiful, the controller, actually. It's really playable. It's one of those games you can just keep playing, and it's not too stressful, it's just a nice, relaxed, fun experience.
Yeah, and given the short development time, I think it's come a fairly long way from what we've seen so far of WRC6.
Incredible, actually. I mean, I was expecting, small incremental updates, but they seem to have really sort of blown the doors off now, and, it's exciting to see, future iterations, to see how they will continue this sort of scale of development in just a 1 year cycle.
I think split screen as well is a great addition. I mean, that really does take me back to the days of Colin McRae Rally 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, like we said, that it's just gone away, hasn't it? And so the fact that they're bringing it in and they've actually, have the confidence to say, we're bringing this in, this is a new feature, just goes to show how few games do have split screen these days.
Yeah, it's almost developers suddenly realise, oh, hang on, there's a gap here. We could make something of this.
Yeah, and people will really appreciate the split screen, and good luck to them. I want to see more and more of it in racing games in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot of Track Mania Turbo recently, for example, and that has a substantial multiplayer mode. There's this like double driver. Which is interesting.
It's one of you steers and one of you brakes and accelerates. Is it?
No, actually, no. I think you both control the car in the same way. So if one of you steers left and one of you steers right, it goes in a straight line.
Yeah. So if you've got a left-hander coming up, you both got to go left. So I can imagine
perfectly in sync.
A lot of shouting going on for something like that.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's such an underrated game, I think, as well.
Yeah, that was it. I did play that mode. I've forgotten how it worked. Yeah, it's quite
intense.
Yeah.
It's synchronized driving, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I did. I mean, that's why I like this new SRRL race in Redout, is because I remember going for this challenge, and it says five race challenge on Cairo, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll have to do the 5 tracks in a row as a tournament. I start racing round, and I get just over halfway around the track. Suddenly there's a vortex. I go through it, and I'm on a different racetrack in a different place. And then I go through that, and I'm in a different racetrack. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Wow.
It's just a really cool idea. Where you're
it's good to see innovation like that.
Yeah,
really.
I love it. Loving innovation,
especially in the racing genre, which is traditionally known for not innovating very much. Something like that is exciting to see, and it's. I don't think I've ever known that before. Have you ever come across a game that does that? I don't think I have.
No, don't think so.
No.
And again, going back to Trackmania as well, there's this bonus mode as well. You have to put in different button combinations just to access them, and there's these really like novelty modes. Like there's one where you have to just mash the button to accelerate, like mash the square button or something like that. Really wears your thumb out, but it helps if you play games like International Track and Field back in the day.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, at the arcades. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's going back a long time now, but. Yeah, certainly does bring back memories. Blister fingers, like you say. Yeah. There's a technique where you sort of you almost sort of put your hand into a bit of a spasm, like it's you can't sustain it very long, but yeah.
Let's just say my Guitar Hero skills were put to good use in that mode.
Okay.
Because that's very strenuous on your thumbs.
Yeah, I actually prefer to play a real guitar, but no, Guitar Hero certainly looks a bit of fun. Yeah.
It's fun. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
So where were we? Yeah, split screen. Racing games need more split screen, is what we're trying to say.
Yes.
I'm hoping WRC6 kind of leads the way in that.
Yeah, I hope it will set a trend. Yeah, I mean, like I say, people will appreciate it because it's not something that you get very often in games these days, and hopefully it will be more common in racing games in the future.
I said it last week, but I'll say it again. Driver San Francisco. The single best local multiplayer.
It did. Outstanding multiplayer modes, and such a shame, like you say, we say it, and we'd love to see it come back again, but like anything these days, I mean, it needs marketing correctly marketed. It needs to be shown to people, and it just wasn't at the time. And like you say, in a way, the Redout videos aren't getting as many views as other videos, and it's purely down to marketing these days. Marketing has so much impact on people now that it affects what they watch, what they like, and whether they think a game is good or not. And it's amazing the impact it has on people now. And as I say, it's just like you say, if it came back, it would just need to be correctly marketed. Let's hope we see it one day. Who knows?
Yeah. I guess on that subject, we should probably talk about Redout then. Obviously, that came out last week. It's almost like a spiritual successor, really, to Wipeout. Really fast-paced, futuristic racing. Alan's been playing through it at the moment. He's given us quite a few lengthy videos looking at the career. How are you finding the career so far?
Well, at the moment, it's been outstanding. I think when you first play it, it's got this new control method that uses both sticks to control the ship, the craft, or whatever. And it takes a bit of getting used to, and there's little elements that are in there that you sort of need to learn along the way. Like, for example, the walls determine the speed you can go into the corner, so the walls change colour to red in a slower corner and stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
Little things like that, visual cues in there. It's wonderful. There's no racing line needed. It's always there. It's just part of the scenery. And nobody notices. But then there's little things, learning to use the weapons, and you different types of weapons in there, and of course you can upgrade your craft. I've actually not done any of that. I'd say the career mode is excellent. It improves you very much as a racer. Some of the stuff isn't as clear perhaps it should be. How the weapons work is not clear to me at all. When I'm affecting an enemy, I don't know, and sometimes cars can bash you off, and it's a bit frustrating. So there's little things in there, little niggles. I'm not so sold on the design of the craft as such. I think it could have done with more design philosophy in the sort of Wipeout vein, really stylized, consistent design philosophy across it in terms of the ships and everything. So you feel that this is a racing series that's going from place to place. But you know, I've visually, playability, even music, it suits the environments massively, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So in terms of the new futuristic racers, we talked last year about Fast Racing Neo. Should have released on PlayStation last year as well. They've really missed their opportunity now, because there's no sign of it coming out for the other consoles, and yet you've got other titles coming out. Redout is head and shoulders leader of the genre now in terms of the futuristic racing genre on current consoles. And at the moment, I went back to my Formula Fusion video I made a few weeks ago, and it showed me, you know, how much is wrong with Formula Fusion in terms of the handling and the width of the racetracks.
Hasn't got the flow, has it?
Hasn't got the flow. The tracks are too narrow. I actually watched some expert videos and saw expert still bumping off the walls. They're just too narrow, some of the tracks. So you know, Formula Fusion needs quite a lot of work doing to it. So the handling in Redout, the floaty handling is perfect. The physics feel great. It's the sort of handling you want in Formula Fusion. And so, yeah, it's excellent feedback so far. I would say, you know, I'm working on the review, and I'd say that a bit more stylized design, a bit more flow to it, better menu screens, some little
on the subject menu screens, just barge in.
Yeah.
You know, you've got this wonderful, colourful art style in the game, and then you go back to the menus. It's very bland. It's very black. It's almost like a polar opposite of the the racing action. So it's very unusual to see that.
Yeah, it's definitely something which stands out as being unfinished almost next to the actual game.
Yeah.
It lacks the design ethic. They've got so much cool design ethic in the game. It doesn't extend to that. And also in terms of locations, there's only 4 locations. There's about 5 tracks in each location. But it needs at least 2 more locations.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like tabletop racing actually. Very similar. I think there's like 4 locations and 5 in each one. So yeah,
track menu is the same as well actually. Yeah, 4 locations.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a new trend.
It's a new trend, but I mean, I think personally you need about 8 locations. I think is perfect. It just needs a bit more variety, and also when you're racing, each location is given its own piece of music, or maybe they have 2 pieces of music. I'm not certain, but what you find is that you'll find a series of tracks in one of the locations, so you just end up hearing the same music being played over and over again on each track, and it's nice the first time you hear it, but when you're doing a series, it can get a bit repetitive. So music is great, but they need more of it. But having said that, I mean, you know, this is an indie game, we have to remember, and it's being self-published by 34 Big Things, and outstanding. You know, I think really outstanding work. It's a fantastic game, and I think if all these extra things were bolted on, I mean, they're even talking about split-screen multiplayer being added. They demoed a 4-player split screen in the past that they had up and running for themselves, but obviously it requires a lot of power. The VR, they're going to be bringing a cockpit cam. They've already mentioned that that's coming as well for the VR to improve that. And of course VR is available and will probably be on PlayStation VR as well. So, you know, they're listening and they're working on things, and I hope that you know, they can improve these little bits and pieces on there. But suffice to say that at the moment for me, also people often ask, is it like F-Zero or is it like Wipeout? And I say, well, it's actually a combination of both. It's got the floatiness feeling of Wipeout, but with F-Zero GX in particular, you have a lot of sort of 90-degree turns on F-Zero GX, and you use the air brakes heavily for those turns. It's very similar. You have sort of similar air brake feeling sometimes, similar sorts of track styles as well. So it combines those two and positions itself in the middle with the uniqueness in the SRL races. That's always a mouthful, and the twin stick controls. You know, so you know, to find innovation within a genre like this is exceptional, and you know, it's going to bring back the genre. You know, there is Fast Racing Neo, there is Formula Fusion, and hopefully we'll have some more coming as well. So yeah, only a good thing. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's just a shame, isn't it, that they don't have a big marketing push for this title, because chances are, you know, it's just going to be under the radar. It's going to be forgotten about very soon, unfortunately. It's just one of those things.
It sounds like it's one of the, it strikes me as almost the one to beat at the moment. Yeah, it's not really getting the attention it really deserves. What we've seen so far, which is a shame. I can imagine it being like one of those cult titles in the years to come, maybe. I hope not. But,
I think right now they're seeing it. I mean, I'm not saying that they're seeing it, but I'm seeing it very much as a learning process for them. They're working on the console versions. They're an Italian company. They'll be looking at how Assetto Corsa is received and used there. They'll be listening to the reviews and everything else. They know when they want to come to console, they're going to have to pull something else out of the bag. I expect the console version will have another location in it as well. I think there'll be some new craft and everything. So I expect we'll see some changes for the console version.
Yeah, it normally has some sort of content to make up.
When it comes out on console, I think as long as it finds its sort of niche and, like you say, cult following on PC, which I've no doubt it will, we're going to keep doing videos on it. You know, for me, you know, all right, it's disappointing that it's not getting the views of other videos, but for me, I'm just enjoying the game, and I just want to share videos of me enjoying a game I've enjoyed. For me, one of my games of the year, absolutely, one of my top games of the year. It really is a fantastic game, and I hope more people do see it eventually and get the chance to play it and enjoy it, because it deserves to be in anybody's collection. So, yeah.
I'd love to see this title on like Games with Gold and PS Plus, because it would really, you know, take off then.
Yeah, I mean, if it got onto PS Plus, I think Redout could be huge. I really do believe that Redout could be huge on PS Plus. I don't think it will. Sadly, it's all politics, isn't it? It's who knows who and everything else. And, you know, I don't think that will happen. I have to admit, the PS Plus selection has been pretty dire for quite some time. I don't really see much on there very often.
This month wasn't too bad if you haven't played Journey before. That's quite a good little
Journey. I haven't looked this month, actually. That must have just come up.
Yeah, literally yesterday.
Oh, right, yeah, I'll take a look at Journey, because last month was the Tetris block-sing, and
I can't even remember the last few months. That's how it is. When you compare it to Games of Gold as well, they had Forza Horizon and Mirror's Edge this month.
Yeah.
They have been overtaking PS Plus in terms of the quality titles in recent months. So, yeah, and with the recent increase in PS Plus in America and Canada, I think it is, they've certainly got a bit of pressure on them. So, hopefully, we'll see some bigger titles in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, let's wait and see. I mean, people have moaned a lot, but yeah, I'll check out this month's PS Plus. But it would be good to see Redout get some serious exposure on something like PS.
Agreed. Yeah.
And it would do well. But yeah, so Redout, great game, review coming probably in a week or so, and I'll keep an eye on it from there. I did play a quick bit of multiplayer. Multiplayer, again, it's very basic menus in multiplayer. There's not many people online at the moment. Unfortunately, when you go into a game, everybody has a Class 4 ship that's max power. So you have to upgrade all your Class 4 ship before you go into that, and there didn't seem to be any way to control other people's classes. But I wasn't the host. I have to admit, I wasn't hosting. So yeah, let's see what they learn from it in terms of the future. But good game. Yeah. And also, I will just mention another one to mention is Grip. That's going to get another update soon as well. And Grip has been outstanding. That's the new version of Roll Cage, for those that don't know. And I think that's another one to add to the list as outstanding next to Redout. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. One of those games that I just played on the demo disc and not the full game, unfortunately. But
yeah.
There we are. Kevin, moving on a bit. Kevin mentioned earlier tabletop racing. Had a nice surprise on that last week with a new DLC pack. We've got the new Tropical Ice pack, which adds another 2 locations. We were saying before about the lack of locations. We've had a single DLC now that actually adds a couple more, so that's good to see. It's quite a lot. It's a surprising amount of content actually. It's got two new locations with a load of tracks in it.
And what are these locations called, Martin?
They are called.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce that. Life's a beach, and yellow snow.
Peace.
Yeah.
So it was half expecting the Silverstone, wasn't we? The rumoured Silverstone DLC, but this looks fun enough. There's certainly lots of character in the environments, as you'd imagine with tabletop racing, and it's certainly the shot in the arm that the game needed. It's just a shame that there was only 4 or 5 locations from the outset, rather than adding a couple more and then maybe some more DLC like this later. But I don't know. Is it too little, too late, perhaps, for the game? I don't know, but we'll certainly be covering this in some videos coming up, and certainly is a game that I've enjoyed immensely. But I would have loved to have seen some more environments at launch.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that this could have done with coming out probably about 6 weeks ago at the beginning of the summer holidays. You know, right now, if you've got your pocket money, you're saving for Forza Horizon 3 and stuff like that. You know, I think this could have done. I know it's on PlayStation, but it could have done with coming out a fair few weeks ago. So.
Yeah, it's interesting timing.
You know, it's still. We don't also know about PS Plus. I mean, it may have been shown released PS Plus in other parts of the world at different times. So we don't know the structure behind this, and also testing and getting stuff made. They are an independent developer after all. You know, they're a very small team of 10 people working on it. So there's always that to remember as well. But either way, let's see how it does. But I think you're right, Kevin. It really could have done with being out, you know, a good 6 to 8 weeks ago.
In fact, it's not the first DLC that's been released. So they did release another DLC at the time of release, which added another location. But yeah, it has been a bit of a gap between the initial release and now.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But I think they've got that kind of initial install base with the PS Plus. So
yeah.
I mean, hopefully people will end up going back to it as a result.
Yeah, I mean, that's what PS Plus gives you, doesn't it? You know, when you get a few million people downloading it, you know, even if just 1% of those people come back for the DLC, you know, that's a healthy margin you're making there.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know, there is that to remember.
Obviously relying a bit on DLC then for revenue initially.
I think so. I think in terms of developing this game, continue to use the base they've got, growing it over the course of the next couple of years, and then seeing what they can do in the future. You know, I'm sure Nick would love to create another Wipeout, you know, but eyes will now be on Redout and Formula Fusion and Grip if they all come out for consoles to see how they all do as well, because Wipeout, as much as we all love it, apparently the last one didn't sell as well. So, but then again, I feel sometimes it's down to the way it's marketed, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so just looking at other news on the site now. Ride 2 has a new trailer. They've actually introduced wet weather in response to feedback of the first game, so that's good to see.
No puddles, though.
No, it's not Forza 6 kind of level of wet weather, but there we are.
I think it looks decent enough, though. I mean, visually, I think it looks pretty decent. Nice reflections and whatnot.
It depends. I mean, in running, it looks. I mean, I think feeling of speed wasn't there on that particular bike, as we know on the demo, and I think visually it just seemed a bit bland. I'll say it looks a bit better on the filmed off the screen than I think it was. We'll have to wait until we see the final version. We should see the final game though in the next couple of weeks, I'm guessing, because it is due out early October. So Ride 2 being released on the same day as WRC 6. So there you have it.
By the same publisher.
By the same publisher? No, they're not. No, it's a sister company. But yeah, no, I'm joking. Yeah, being released on the same day. But it's a funny one. And then of course next month after that we've got the game everyone's looking forward to. It's Moto Racer 4. Oh, the excitement is buzzing on the
channel.
The channel, yeah, buzzing. So the hardcore disliker, of which it's one person probably, is just creating new accounts like crazy to try and raise the amount of dislikes. There is a serious disliking person out there. But,
at the moment, the latest trailer we've uploaded, it has 32 likes and 33 dislikes.
Yeah, it's but it is all probably one person. That's the one thing about YouTube, is a lot of people have multiple accounts, so they can multiple dislike and stuff like that. It's all a bit, because that's the thing about anonymity of liking and disliking videos.
But, I mean, going back to Ride 2, though, I think it really depends on how it affects the handling. They've made quite a big deal about this new tire model they've got. They've worked really closely with companies to make it more accurate. So we'll have to see about that. But there's definitely potential there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a decent track list as well, haven't they? And they seem to be, you know, making a real effort to expand the sort of ride series features. You know, much more bikes.
Yeah, they also want to turn it into.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, just saying, it's obviously want to turn it into like a franchise that for several years coming, I expect.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it seems like.
They are pitching it as they are pitching it as the Gran Turismo of bike games after all.
And maybe it will get there. Maybe it will be a sort of successor to Tourist Trophy. The first one was certainly a lot of fun to play. And we've got some cracking tracks here. We've got the Nürburgring Nordschleife, we've got the Northwest 200, and the Ulster GP. So I mean, incredible locations that bike fans, will certainly get a lot out of. And there's not a lot of games on the horizon that's going to have tracks like that. We've got the Isle of Man TT coming up next year, but at the moment, sort of Ride 2 has that market all to itself at the moment. So be interesting to see how it does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, speaking of bike games as well, we had the news that Road Redemption has been delayed following the Louisiana floods that apparently affected the developers. So obviously we feel for the developers in that.
Which actually works well for Ride 2, because Ride 2 initially was going to come out with 2 bike games either side of release. So now it's got that little window of bike games to itself now. So that may well help us.
Yeah, that's it. When's it? It's been delayed to about November. It was supposed to come out in October originally, wasn't it? But it's been put back to November.
Ah, okay. So much like Motor Racer 4, yeah.
Well, November. There's no solid date yet. They're saying at least that sort of time.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it fell into next year now. But it's certainly a title that I'm keeping my eye on. I've got some interest in.
Yeah, it's been received quite well in early access as a kind of throwback to Road Rash. Again, it's an indie developer, so I think the visuals aren't quite there yet. But in terms of gameplay, like I said before, it's a kind of survival game, so you've only got one life, which is quite interesting. That's a different sort of spin on the genre.
It's not the only Road Rash successor either, because we've also
just about to get onto that.
Yeah, Road Rage. I forget the release date for that, or maybe it hasn't been announced yet. But
November 8th.
Ah, okay. So there you go. I mean, to get 2 come along at once is incredible, isn't it?
I know. We've seen nothing of it whatsoever yet. Apart from a couple of really early screenshots.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how that stacks up against Road Redemption. They'll be battling it out amongst each other to see who's the Road Rash king.
Well, you'd have thought they'd have some sort of trailer out by now, though, if it's only 2 months away from release.
It is surprising, yeah.
Yeah, you'd expect to see it, wouldn't you? At least something, a teaser trailer or something.
Yeah, perhaps they saw the reception of Motor Racer 4 and got scared. With all the gameplay videos.
Possible, sometimes they wait for rivals to come out, see what the reception is, and then adapt their product to suit or not. Oh, probably in the office here again. What can I say? We're live.
We're very busy people.
We are. It's got to be another wrong number. You know what it is? I get these calls from sales companies during the day, and they want to sell me PPI insurance or something like that, I get all these sort of fake calls these days, but it's been like that for years. I mean, it's been like, but yeah, sorry, I digress. Where were we? What were we talking about, Martin? I'm completely lost.
The fact that Road Rage hasn't had any videos released for it yet.
Yeah, so wait and see. I mean, so many games don't have videos today until the last minute. But then I would actually say Redout. Look at Redout. I mean, there was nothing on Redout. There was that E3 trailer, but that was it. That was the only thing in a year. And then suddenly, I managed to get hands on at Gamescom. I'm like, wow, this game is outstanding, and it looks 100% better than we ever realised. And when's it coming out? November, December?
Yeah.
Oh, next week. Next week? It's like it's sort of been a stealth release in a way. So,
bike games coming out so close together, because we've got Ride 2 in October, then we've got Motor Racer 4 early November, and then Road Rage a week later. So it just goes to show. All kind of coming at once at the moment.
And don't forget about Road Redemption as well, so it's pretty crazy.
Potentially November. So November could well be the month for bike game fans.
Yeah, there's going to be some to compare, isn't there, and go through there. But will any of them actually get it right?
Yeah. That's the thing. So, any more news on the side? Just having a quick flip.
I think really a lot of it's.
Sure
that's about it for this week. I mean, a lot of it now we're looking forward to. I think it's this Sony event tonight.
Yeah.
We recorded this just before it starts, unfortunately. But
that's right.
We'll have a separate discussion on it, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get that up. If there's anything interesting, we'll no doubt highlight that.
We're expected to see the PS4 Neo at least, and how that will affect racing games in the future should be interesting.
Yeah, and I'll say to listeners here, viewers and listeners, is if there's anything you'd like us to discuss, anything you'd like us to highlight, do let us know, because we can always have a ramble on about it here and discuss any issues within the industry. So always feel free to let us know about those. It has been really busy on the website, and it's been really busy in the world of indie gaming as well. There's a lot going on there. And we're sort of going to try and keep up with it all. So, but I think that's about it really for the moment. Now we look forward to Forza Horizon preview next week. So you'll hear me talking a bit about it and my impressions. I think, like you say, PlayStation event impressions.
I hope we see some Drive Club VR. I'd be very surprised if we didn't see some a trailer or footage of Drive Club VR and that.
Oh, we will.
We're about to make a push for PlayStation VR, so that is now basically the leading racing game for it. At least until GTSport comes out.
If it comes out.
If it comes out next year.
It looked pretty good from what I saw of it, and of course, as I've said before, Star Wars VR demo on PlayStation VR, absolutely outstanding, mind blowing. Everyone who tries that
to play that, I really am.
It really is. It really is the future when you play that. It's the future. So no, that's good. I think that's it for today, Martin.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's it. So thanks as ever for listening, and do like and subscribe as ever, and we'll see you again next time.